those formalities really help.
Absolutely.
Right. So this the white step, therefore, is like a grounding.
Yeah, it's
That
tell me
sets the
tell me a
stage.
little bit about why you're here today and what's happening and what's going on, and give me a little bit of history about yourself and your health, and when this all started, and had you experienced this before, and what symptoms is it creating for you? What problems are you experiencing? Well, I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over now, but
Mhm.
what are you experiencing right now, and what impact is it having on you? So I get as much white information as I possibly can in the beginning, because the person, for trust to occur, we have to be on the same page.
Mhm.
And without a solid white step in the second phase of MasterStream, we're not starting on equal footing.
That's true.
So that white step in the beginning of phase 2, working our way towards phase 3 and 4 and 5, is so important to create a foundation of relationship, credibility, and generating interest. We start with white and gather as much as we can, and then we move on into the green. What are you looking to have happen? We certainly want to alleviate these symptoms and get you back to more robust and better health. That's going to be our goal here. Tell me about some things that happened around the time these symptoms started to appear. Did you change your diet? Did you try and uncover what obstacles or what happened that created the symptoms that are now occurring, to again bring us to the same understanding and a common understanding, and to be on the same page. So we use the path of self-discovery in phase 2 as a means of analyzing, understanding, becoming more aware, creating a common awareness, and raising task tension up to the threshold where the other party is like, okay, what do I do? Until we get them to a point of what do I do, it's very difficult to move on effectively. I'll give you an example. My wife's firm, a couple of years ago, I may have shared this previously, but a couple of years ago, wanted to do some sales training. And I kind of knew the firm and didn't really feel as though that was really going to serve them best. So I met with the managing partners and just, started asking them questions about the firm. And I asked them, I said, I really don't like to do training for people that I haven't met or understood what their needs are, what challenges they're facing. Would it be okay if I sent out just a 2-word SurveyMonkey survey to them, and they could answer those questions, and it would give me the background information I'm looking for? And the questions were something like, what is preventing you from succeeding to the degree that you wish, and what do you think is preventing the firm from succeeding to the degree that it wishes? Something like that. I don't remember the exact questions, but basically the responses that I got were so caustic about the culture of the firm and leadership at the firm and everything else, that I brought all that information in, handed it to both the managing partners, and just let them read it. Well, you could see their tension just floating up and up and up.
Yeah.
As they were reading these comments about their own firm, and not really realizing that they had the situation that they did. And finally, one of them turned to me. I mean, I didn't really say anything. I didn't read it. I didn't point anything out. I just let them read it and discuss it amongst themselves. And finally, one of them turned to me and said, well, what would you do?
Ah.
And there you go, close, folks. In consulting language, that is a close. That's a buying signal, is what it is.
Yep, absolutely.
And I said, and I told him, I said, well, I tell you, I would craft a program here where we engage the attorneys into solving some of these problems. and it worked out beautifully and all of that. But none of that would have happened had I not gotten their attention to the threshold.
Exactly. Or if you would have just gone in and what did they want? Sales training, did you
Sales
say?
train, MasterStream.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have done that in 1 hour morning sessions over a long period and charged them a great deal of money for it. But I knew in my heart that that wasn't what they needed. Now it would help them.
Sure.
Attorneys need to know how to sell,
Right.
but I knew that they were experiencing other problems because I had an insider, my wife, working in the firm, and I was
Sure.
very familiar with what was going on in the firm and some of the challenges that the firm was facing. So I had to find a way, and it was through data, simply through data, that got them from the threshold of delegation to the threshold of activation.
Yep.
Mm.
Absolutely.
And that's how powerful information can be.
Mhm.
Yeah, when it's used in a most appropriate way.
What'd you say, Brian? I lost you there.
So when it's used in the most appropriate way.
Yes.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. No, we never use information to pound on someone or to prove them wrong or diminish them in the eyes of their colleagues or anything like that. It's just simply used as it is literally a matter of fact.
Mhm.
So if we're diagnosing a patient or we're diagnosing a client, we've got to start from a solid foundation of fact so that we both understand the current situation. And that opens up the conversation to what are your goals? What obstacles are you facing? How serious is this? Things like that will move task tension up to the threshold.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
What I like
So,
what you said is it sounds like it's just you've been doing it for so long that it's second nature for you. And so, I like that aspect because I have a lot of routines that keep me focused and keep me grounded. So I can see that as kind of a first step, in other words, to build the actual behavior. Because amazingly, I have to have this conversation a lot with other physicians in terms of helping them to understand that behind each diagnosis, there's humanity there. And you have to greet that humanity. Or, in my opinion, you're not even in the right position to help that person. That's
right.
where it starts for me.
Well, and I think that's where it should start for all of us. When I meet someone new, the best thing I can do, and the thing that always works for me to create some foundation of relationship, is just to ask them about themselves.
Hmm.
Tell me a little bit about you. Tell me a little bit about your family. Tell me a little bit about your career. Tell me a little bit about this position. Tell me a little bit about your experience in this position. So, I always start out with a question meant to open the dialogue. And I think that's essential for all of us.
Mhm.
The last thing I want to do is come off as a know-it-all expert, because someone's going to try to prove me wrong and they might succeed. And if I don't have a solid relationship with that client or that individual, that may compromise my ability to help them. So I can't come in as a know-it-all expert, not valuing, as Brian said, the humanity in front of me, and not begin from a position of just open discovery.
Mhm.
So phase one is critical for all contact and all elements of creating relationship. And then as we go through phase two and we go through the path of self-discovery, where we hopefully get task tension up to the threshold, then we have to manage that tension very tightly until we get a yes. And we don't want that tension to go down too far. And that, frankly, is the same for every transaction that we have. There's an intro, there's an awareness, there's a decision point, and we move on.
Mhm.
So that's, I think, the essential element of reducing relationship tension and then building task tension up to the threshold. Imagine asking someone what difficulties they're facing personally or organizationally without that kind of relationship first in place. What information are you likely to get?
Basically not enough.
Not enough, or not the right thing.
Or not the right thing, because if you're not getting the true information, what good is it?
Yeah, I mean, we all deal with, I mean, I have house painters that came in and quoted me. I got about 5 of them or something like that. And, the one that I chose was the most professional. Came in, handed me a card, started talking to me about how long I've lived in my home and how much he liked the neighborhood and, what was I thinking? And, everybody else came in with their little laser pointers, measured the walls, and gave me a quote.
Yeah.
This individual actually came in and was, showing some care and concern about me.
Right, exactly. Isn't it the difference is night and day? It really is.
Mhm. Yeah, I see this online a lot. So I was wondering, like, I hate shopping online just because I'm all about quality of experience. Um, but I see the lack of this framework in terms of MasterStream and the online experience. It seems like the purchasing behavior online is uniquely different than if you're in the store. So it seems like these Amazons of the world seem to know that, or at least train people that they can get away with certain things that if you were in the store, you will walk out if you were treated the same.
Right. Right.
Because it's all drive by, right? It's like the quick hit. It's all
Yeah.
about volume. There's no presentation in it. It's just about getting a package to the door. And mostly, if you give instructions, they don't follow instructions. You just got a package at your door. And you can't, I mean, it's not like knocking on the door, ringing the doorbell is any extra effort. You're there.
I bought a suitcase recently for my upcoming trip to New York. And I did a bunch of research and I found this company called Monos, Monos. I don't know if anybody's heard of them or has any of their product or anything. But anyway, so I bought a carry-on suitcase. It was called the carry-on. I wanted to make sure I could carry it on. And they had carry-on plus and carry-on medium and different things like that. But I just bought the basic model and it wasn't cheap. I mean, it was probably $250. And I got it and I unpackaged it and it was locked.
Oh, no.
And the instructions for how to unlock it were on the inside.
Oh, come on.
I swear to God, they were not in the box. They were inside the suitcase. So I literally had to call. So I guess the point being is that you're right. Online shopping can be pretty clinical and relationship less. But that I've seen T and Linda take the MasterStream and actually using the MasterStream create campaigns for websites, for mailers, for Linda, I'm correct, am I not?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Wow.
So the MasterStream process can be applied to just about anything. I use it in my campaigns, my mailing campaigns. I send out a lot of, interesting stuff to begin with, trying to prove credibility and lower defensiveness and gain interest in the eyes of the people that I'm approaching. And then afterwards, using different types of communication or messaging to raise tension. And I can tell you that in your practice, Brian, or Edie, or anybody in your own practice, the MasterStream has great value in just providing a strategic framework to think about when you're meeting someone. You've got a meeting coming up, you've got a problem to resolve, you've got an introduction to make, you've got, whatever it is, the protocols of the MasterStream will give you the tools that you need to understand what to do to get the outcome that you're looking for.
And the more that you use it, the more you think about it, like David, you've been using it for so long, it will become second nature. And then, because in the beginning, you really do have to practice it. You really do have to think about it, practice it. And you'll notice that when you see some of these advertisements, either whether it's on TV, I'm thinking about TV right now, you notice the kind of tension they're trying to raise.
Right.
And sometimes it's so disturbing, I just have to turn it off, or I just go, really? What are you thinking? They're trying to raise tension, but and the shock type of tension too.
Right.
So,
and they don't create any relationship to
No,
begin
they
with, or
don't.
rapport.
No.
You just
No.
jump right into the tension.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Which works to their advantage, not to the ones who are watching it. You're hijacked at that point.
Yes, yes,
Right? 'Cause
exactly.
there is no control for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sold on it, and I'm going to have to create the mastery for myself, the MasterStream, because here's what I'm looking at these for in terms of been looking at this health behavior research that I'm doing, and looking at this the great resignation period, or whatever they're calling this
Right.
phenomenon there. And so I question this idea of how do we create a culture of health as a new business imperative? Because the way that people work in America is quite disturbing to me. It's like it's literally killing people. Like it's just too many people have unhealthy conceptions in relationship with this idea of what work is. I hear it all the time in health research. I hear people say, yeah, I work hard, play harder, and all these kinds of things. And they have eloquent exit plans. But no, I never hear from out of the 172 that I interviewed thus far, I never hear anything about, wow, I may not enjoy every aspect of the work I do, but I enjoy working. I enjoy getting up and contributing to any kind of community. I never heard that out of 172 interviews, but yet, especially these government workers here in the DC area, they have the eloquent exit plan on what they're going to do. They're fully vested, can retire at 54, and they're going to retire, start a business, do all these things. But yet, you just told me all your health crises. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't know if you're going to make it.
Yeah.
Brian, one of the products that seems to be really popular today that seems to follow the MasterStream framework, strategic framework a bit, is this product called Balance of Nature. Have you heard of it?
Balance of Nature?
Yes.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Has anybody heard of Balance of Nature?
No, I haven't.
So the Balance of Nature is 2 pills. Well, you take 3 each, of a red one and a green one. The red one is the fruits and the green one are the vegetables. And they start out by talking about how much they care about the product and about the people who take the product, and how important they're feeling, how they're feeling, and their health and their ability to live their lives and everything is. And then they break into, and let me show you how we prepare this product and how it's freeze dried and how you get preserving the natural elements of the fruits and vegetables and get the maximum benefit from it. And it's funny, but once you understand the strategic framework, the MasterStream strategic framework, you see it everywhere.
Mm-hmm. You do, you really do.
And you see the wrong ways of approaching it even more.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I think I was talking about, the wrong ways.
Right.
With all the commercials and the emails you get every day, and immediately they're raising your tension.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of the things that we should do, and I'll plan for this next time. I've got a full list of MasterStream slides with all the protocols from all the phases. And maybe we could take a minute and back up and just look at a little bit of that. In other words, each one of these phases has, anywhere from 8 to 12 steps.
Okay.
To accomplish the outcome. And I think maybe we should take a look at those steps and understand those steps better, because they really do reveal the general guidelines, the strategy, and the goals of each phase that are very important to understand, and understanding the MasterStream strategic framework.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, Linda, maybe on Thursday, I'll have a full slide deck set up so that we can look at some of those things. Because Brian, I think you would be very interested to see the protocols of phase 2 and how we raise tension to the threshold strategically and tactically. And I think that would give you a lot more insight into how you could apply it in your practice.
Right. That would be excellent.
Yep, we'll do that. We'll do that on Thursday.
Okay, so on Thursday, I don't know if you guys all noticed that I forgot to record until we were 30 minutes in. Would you remind me? I'm just not used to. I'm used to attending, not recording.
No, we can do that.
Okay.
We can do that. So does anybody have any closing thoughts? We're in it for tea.
You just can't go over this too many times. You just can't.
I was going to say earlier when Brian was talking about wanting to understand it, Brian, I can't begin to tell you how many times I've ended a meeting or a call and said, geez, I really mishandled that, or I should have done this, or I should have done that. And it's because the more you know something, the more you put it out of your mind.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to get back to the basics. And so what I do is I carry around a laminated card with me that has the entire MasterStream process on it. And before I go into a call, I literally look at my laminated card and plan that call in my mind before I begin it, either on Zoom or in person or even in an email.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, I look at my card and I determine, what are my objectives? Where am I at and where am I trying to get to? And what am I concerned about? And how am I going to approach this in a more productive way to restore control and move forward? Mm-hmm. So we'll look at those protocols because I think those would be very useful in understanding the program a little bit more.
Yeah, I definitely would appreciate that. I think the busier we become, when I look at things from that behavioral perspective, the neuroscience perspective, and the busier we become, I think it becomes even more important to do exactly what you just said, because any and all of us can say, hey, I'm too busy. And I hear this all the time when I'm asking these questions about health behavior, because for me, the symptom is just, the outward expression of something much larger or something at least underneath it. So when I'm dealing with these patients and they're saying they don't have time for X or they don't have time for this, that's okay. But then you're making time for other things that does not pay value for you at the level of what you need. So the way I tend to look at things is combining the lifespan and health span, and I'm more interested in the health span. I just
Right.
seen a research that said humans can live, I was told in medical school, to 120, but there's some recent research from researchers in Sweden, I think it was, that said 130. But I'm thinking, okay, what's the point of living to 130 if it's not going to be of quality? If everything's about biohacking and hacking this and getting something quicker, and you're lacking the quality, what's the point of living to 130 and suffering? It doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Exactly.
So we'll look at phase 2 in particular, Brian, and look at ways that you can raise that task tension to the threshold to get the patient responding positively to you
Excellent.
in your direction.
Excellent. Love it.
All right. Well, Linda, I think we can put a wrap on this, and we'll look forward to getting everyone back together Thursday at 1 o'clock, and I'll have the slide deck ready to go.
That sounds great. And if anybody has any situations that they'd like us to incorporate into that, just let us know.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, talk to you Thursday.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.